What is universal grammar? Humans are able to understand the basic foundations of grammar, speech, and communication from a very young age, usually within just a few days of birth. While infants do not, and cannot, fully comprehend the words being spoken to them, they do enjoy a natural ability to recognize the tone of a human voice and differentiate between unique parts of language based on how they sound. What is universal grammar and how does it impact the communicative development of children? The universal grammar theory is a linguistic concept which elaborates that all children are born with an innate and defined ability to learn, develop, and understand language. Chomsky believes that there is a natural device which is called language acquisition devices (LAD). That is present in the brain of every new infant naturally. That helps them to understand a language. According to Chomsky, that all languages same, but how can it be possible? The logic behind this that every language has nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives and so on. In other words, all languages are same if one observes their basic functions of words such as noun, pronoun, verbs, adjectives and so on. So, universal grammar applies from the most basic foundations of a language to the most complex laws found within, otherwise known as grammar itself. Although different languages are made up of different linguistic rules, figures of speech, and other irregular measures of grammar, all humans possess the desire and capability to learn and use all forms of speech under the universal grammar definition. Before the development of universal grammar, behavioral psychologists generally believed that language and the rules of grammar were learned gradually over time. As the language was spoken to an individual, their ability to listen and comprehend what was being told to them would improve, leading them to become more skilled at linguistics on their own. Due to the development of universal grammar theory, however, behavioral scientists now commonly believe that language recognition and comprehension is inherited genetically. Universal grammar theory suggests that the human brain is naturally programmed to develop grammatical skills from a young age, even if an individual is not directly exposed to the rigors of language during the early stages of their life. Universal grammar was introduced by linguistics professor Noam Chomsky in the 1960s. His theory states that all humans are naturally born with the ability to acquire, develop, and understand language. Universal grammar theory. The initial conception of universal grammar theory is credited to Noam Chomsky, a professor of linguistics at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology (MIT). Noam Chomsky's universal grammar theory was developed throughout the 1950s and 1960s, before scientific equipment and testing, such as the MRI, was used to show brain activity and explain the different stages of cognitive development. The theoretical approach was fully introduced during the 1960s, aiming to describe how humans are able to conceptualize and respond to grammatical cues from a very young age. Chomsky's universal grammar theory is based on three specific and detailed principles, each of which is believed by the developer of universal grammar theory to be essential in grammatical comprehension and development. The three universal grammar principles include universality of language, because all humans share the same basic ability to recognize language and develop linguistic skills. There are striking and deep similarities between all languages at their cores. While the complexities of grammar between two different languages may be apparently different, a human is inherently capable of learning any language they wish. For example, an individual with French-speaking parents would be able to learn Portuguese as their first language, if appropriately exposed, just as easily as someone with Portuguese-speaking parents, because at their foundations, all languages are similar. Convergence. Certain languages share the same laws of grammar, such as those of the Romance languages Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, and Romanian. Because of this trend, an individual is naturally more inclined to understand the verbal and tonal cues between two languages that share similar characteristics, word conjugations, verb tenses, etc., and additional laws of grammar, even if they are exposed to different aspects of the language. Poverty of stimulus. Chomsky specified that grammar must be a universal constant in humans because of something he called the poverty of stimulus, or the argument that it is not possible for children to learn their native language purely through exposure to it. Consequently, linguistic recognition must be built into the brain automatically for understanding to take place at such a young age. It should be noted that the poverty of stimulus does not mean that exposure to one's native language isn't necessary, but it logically cannot account for the entirety of learning a language.